In this video, we'll be taking a look at 5 NBA games happening on February 26th, 2026, and providing you with free team picks and total picks for each one of those games, so 10 picks in total. Welcome back to Cash Out Sports. Let's dive right into it. Oh, and don't forget to subscribe and to click the bell icon to get notified as soon as these videos get released, so that you have more time to plan out your bets as we provide these videos on a daily basis. I can guarantee that you'll have all the important information that you'll need on these 5 NBA games after fully watching this video. One more thing before we start, if you would like to gain access to our best exclusive sports picks to take your journey to the next level, then check out our Patreon in the link down below, where we offer our best single picks, parlay picks, and much more. Now let's get started. Portland Trail Blazers versus Chicago Bulls. The Portland Trail Blazers head into Chicago on Thursday for a matchup at the United Center, and both teams bring very different vibes into this one. Portland feels like a group quietly finding its footing, while Chicago looks like it is still stuck in neutral. Portland comes in off a stretch where it lost to the Timberwolves, beat the Suns, and has the Hornets on deck, and that recent run includes 5 wins in its last 8 games. That kind of mini-surge matters because it usually reflects a team finally settling into its rotations and roles, even if the box scores still look a little messy at times. They were close against Minnesota in their last outing, and there was a sense they let one slip instead of getting run off the floor, which says something about their current level. Chicago, on the other side, is dealing with a very different storyline. The Bulls have dropped games to the Knicks and Hornets, face the Bucks next, and are stuck in a brutal stretch of 10 straight losses. A skid like that starts out as a numbers thing, then turns into a confidence thing, and you can often see it in late-game possessions when players hesitate instead of attacking. In terms of availability, Portland is still without Deni Avdija and Shaedon Sharpe, and Robert Williams III is listed as questionable. That is not ideal, but lately they have managed to handle these absences reasonably well, leaning on players who understand their responsibilities and keep the offense functional. Chicago has ruled out Zach Collins, Jaden Ivey, Jalen Smith, and Anfernee Simons again, so the depth chart looks stretched and the margin for error gets thin very quickly. When a team is already struggling and then has to reach deeper into the bench, it usually makes it even harder to trust them against a spread, especially against a group playing with more confidence. These teams already met at the start of the season, and the Bulls pulled out a 122-121 result. That game was tight, and the 1-point difference hints at how small the gap was on that night, but the current form tells a different story now. Portland looks more composed and competitive than it did early in the schedule, while Chicago appears to be stuck in its worst stretch of the season, and the injuries only add more weight on the wrong side of the scale. The Bulls will still get some support at home, and the building can provide a little energy, but the reality is they are 0-10 straight up and 1-9 against the spread over their last 10. At some point, they have to actually show something on the court before they can be trusted again, not just on name value or jersey color. Right now, backing this version of Chicago feels more like wishful thinking than a sound decision. Portland, on the other hand, is trending in a healthier direction overall and has real reason to treat games like this as business opportunities if the postseason is a serious target. Matchups against wounded, slumping opponents are the ones competitive teams simply have to handle, and the message inside that locker room should be that there are no excuses here. Chicago is giving off the kind of energy you see from a team that would not mind fast-forwarding to the offseason, and this month has felt like one long headache for them. As our first pick for this matchup, the Portland Trail Blazers to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Trail Blazers average 115.8 points on 45.2% shooting while allowing 118.4 points on 47.6% shooting. They hit 34.1% from 3 and 76.8% at the free throw line, give up 36.3% from deep, and grab 45.8 rebounds per game, which hints at plenty of second chance and transition chances. Chicago brings almost the same scoring output on its side, putting up 115.8 points per game on 46.8% shooting and giving up 120.4 points on 47.8%. The Bulls knock down 36.7% of their threes and 78.7% of their free throws, allow opponents to shoot 37.7% from 3, and pull down 44.6 rebounds per contest. Those numbers suggest a style where both defenses leak at times, especially on the perimeter, and where shooters on both sides are likely to find clean looks if the ball moves. When both teams are allowing more than they score and both are defending the arc poorly, games often turn into trading runs, especially if neither defense consistently sets the tone. Portland's willingness to let it fly from deep, combined with Chicago's tendency to give up efficient looks, can create those quick 7 or 8 point bursts that push a total upward. On the flip side, Chicago's own shooting percentages are solid enough that even in a slump, they can still contribute meaningfully to the final scoring number, particularly at home where role players usually feel more comfortable. Rebounding numbers are close enough that there should not be a huge possession gap either way, which usually keeps the pace honest and the scoring opportunities fairly even. If both offenses simply play to their recent averages, with the same defensive cracks we have been seeing, it sets the stage for a game where the scoreboard keeps ticking at a steady rate rather than getting stuck in long droughts. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Sacramento Kings versus Dallas Mavericks. The Sacramento Kings and Dallas Mavericks meet Thursday in NBA action at the American Airlines Center, and neither one is exactly rolling in with a ton of confidence right now. The Kings are coming off a loss to the Rockets after finally stealing a win over the Grizzlies, and they have the Lakers waiting for them next. They have dropped 16 of their last 17 games, which is the kind of stretch that does not just hurt in the standings, it wears on a locker room mentally. Even when they briefly broke the losing streak, it felt more like a sigh of relief than a turning point, and the way they got blown out by Houston right after shows how fragile things still are. They are still missing Keegan Murray, Zach LaVine, Domantas Sabonis, and DeAndre Hunter, which leaves them without key scoring, size, and playmaking. When a team that is already struggling is that short-handed, the rotations get awkward. Guys are asked to play roles that are a little too big for them, and the consistency goes right out the window. The Mavericks have their own lengthy injury list. They have ruled out Cooper Flagg, Kyrie Irving, Derek Lively II, and PJ Washington, while Chris Middleton is listed as questionable. So, yes, they are banged up too, and that makes it a little strange to see them sitting in the big favorite chair. It does not exactly scream comfort when you think about laying a big number with a team missing that many names. Here is the thing though, the number really says more about the Kings than it does about the Mavericks. The Kings keep losing, they are not covering often enough to earn much faith, and they are walking into this game at the tail end of a back-to-back. That schedule spot is brutal for a short-handed team that already looks exhausted, both physically and emotionally. Even if they start the game with energy, it is fair to wonder what the second half will look like when tired legs start showing up on jump shots and closeouts. The Mavericks, for all their flaws, are at least rested and at home. They still have players who can step into bigger roles, like Marshall, Bagley, and Williams, and that sort of secondary wave can be more than enough against a Kings group that is patching lineups together on the fly. Sometimes it really is as simple as one team having more competent bodies available and a little more stability, while the other side is trying to stop the bleeding. Right now, the Kings just look bad, and their current form makes it hard to build any kind of case for them beyond hoping they magically wake up. As our first pick for this matchup, the Dallas Mavericks to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Sacramento Kings are averaging 110.1 points on 46.1% shooting and allowing 121.1 points on 49.6% shooting. They are hitting 33.8% of their threes and 77.6% at the free throw line. They allow opponents to shoot 36.5% from deep and pull down 41.4 rebounds per game. The Mavericks, on the other hand, average 114.4 points on 47.3% shooting while allowing 117.7 points on 46.8%. They shoot 34.2% from beyond the arc and 74.5% from the free throw line. They are giving up 34.3% from three and grabbing 44.7 rebounds per contest. Those numbers hint at defenses that are far from stingy, but the context here pushes things in a different direction. The Kings are coming off that back-to-back. Their rotation is thin, and tired teams often struggle to keep pace offensively, even if the defensive focus is not great. Shots tend to come up short, drives to the basket get replaced by pull-up jumpers, and possessions bog down into late clock heaves more often than coaches would like. On the Mavericks side, all the injuries matter for the rhythm of the offense. Missing several key pieces usually means the ball sticks a bit more, sets are simpler, and some possessions end with lower percentage looks from players who are not used to carrying that load. Even if the efficiency numbers look respectable on paper, the current version of the roster is not quite the same as the full-strength one that built those stats. Rebounding numbers suggest Dallas has a slight edge on the glass, which can quietly slow things down too. If they control the boards, especially defensively, they can afford to walk the ball up more often and avoid turning the game into a track meet. That kind of pace, combined with tired legs on the Kings side and patchwork lineups for both, leans toward a game where points do not pile up as quickly as the raw defensive averages might suggest. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. Los Angeles Lakers versus Phoenix Suns. Lakers at Suns in late February and Phoenix sounds like another glossy spotlight game, but this one has a sneaky underdog script written all over it. The road side comes in with the bigger names, a core centered on Luka Doncic, LeBron James, and DeAndre Ayton, all available and carrying that heavy national attention that never really shuts off. The record looks solid, plenty of wins, but the defense quietly allows more than it scores over the course of the season, which is the kind of thing that matters more to bettors than highlight reels. On the other side, Phoenix has been dealing with body blows all year, and this matchup is no different. Devin Booker is sidelined with that hip issue, Dillon Brooks is stuck rehabbing that broken left hand after surgery, and role guys like Jordan Goodwin, Cole Anthony, and Haywood Highsmith are marked out for this one too. On paper that screams trouble and makes this feel like one of those just ride the favorite and move on spots, which is exactly where numbers on the board start getting a little extra tax baked in. What actually hits the floor, though, is a Suns group that has leaned into a new identity built around Jalen Green, Grayson Allen, Mark Williams, Royce O'Neal, and a rotation full of players who know they are being underestimated and play like it. They have become one of the best tickets against the spread this season at home and as underdogs, turning that short-handed label into something closer to dangerous if you fall asleep for anyone laying points against them. The visitors, for all the star power, have been much more ordinary at covering, especially away from home, which is a pattern that usually says more about how the market views you than how your fan base does. Phoenix also has the comfort of knowing this matchup has gone their way more often than not recently, with a slight edge in the season series and success in several of the last head-to-head meetings. That familiarity matters because it means they are not stepping into this one feeling awed by the names on the other jerseys. Their style leans into defense and rebounding, winning scrappy possessions, chasing steals, and letting the energy in that building carry them through runs where effort levels spike. In a nationally televised spot where almost everyone expects the undermanned team to fold, you get a hungry home group that has rewarded bettors again and again, facing a public darling that often carries a price tag tilted by name recognition. There is even the possibility, especially in a tougher stretch of schedule, that the veteran legs in purple and gold manage their energy a bit, which only helps a home side that has room to hang around if this game becomes a grind instead of a blowout by halftime. With those ingredients in play, the profile of this contest clearly tilts toward a live underdog that has been covering spreads all year rather than a comfortable cruise for the team in the brighter spotlight. As our first pick for this matchup, the Phoenix Suns to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. The number on the total comes in lower than what you would expect if you only looked at how these two have been playing across the season, which is usually a little clue that injuries and narrative have tugged the projected points down. The visiting offense on the road has been living in that range where both teams are trading buckets for most of the night, with their own scoring comfortably in triple digits and their defense allowing plenty in return. Phoenix, even with the absences, has been involved in games where points stack up more than the old defensive-minded Suns label might suggest. Recent home showings, including ones where they gave up big numbers like 130+ to Oklahoma City or well over 100 to San Antonio, remind you that their defense has soft spots without Brooks hounding ball handlers and Booker soaking up minutes. That kind of slippage on one side of the ball usually drags pace and shot volume up, because once you are getting scored on, you tend to push right back instead of walking the ball up and pretending you can win every game in the 90s. On the other side, the visiting offense is built around a pick-and-roll engine with Doncic that creates quality looks again and again, with LeBron still pushing in transition and finding shooters and cutters in stride. That combination has already produced plenty of high-scoring finishes, the kind where both teams live comfortably above that middle ground total range. Against a Suns group that will probably lean into quicker possessions rather than trying to win a half-court slog with a shorter rotation, it is easy to imagine a game that starts to feel like a track meet for stretches. Honestly, this is the kind of spot where both sides can benefit from tempo. The younger guards for Phoenix can run. The home crowd loves those mini spurts where the arena gets loud off back-to-back threes or a leak-out dunk. And the road stars are no strangers to big stage scoring showcases. When you add in that the visitors have gone over the number more often than under across the season, you end up with a scoring environment that looks friendlier to an offensive script than a rock fight. So instead of leaning toward a slow, ugly game just because some key scorers are out, this matchup shapes up more like one where efficiency and volume combine to push the total past that projected line. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. New Orleans Pelicans versus Utah Jazz. The New Orleans Pelicans and Utah Jazz square off Thursday in NBA action at the Delta Center. The Pelicans coming off wins over the 76ers and Warriors, with another meeting against the Jazz on deck. They have still dropped 20 of their last 29 games, so even with a couple of good results, the bigger picture is pretty rough. The Jazz just took losses against the Rockets and Grizzlies, and they also see the Pelicans next. They have lost 20 of their last 26, which says plenty about how this season has gone for them. New Orleans is still without Yves Missi and Trey Murphy III. Utah has already ruled out Jusuf Nurkic and Jaren Jackson Jr., while Lauri Markkanen and Keontae George are both listed as questionable. If those two sit, the Jazz would be without their top two scorers, which is a huge hit, even in a season like this. The Pelicans look like they might finally be grabbing a little positive momentum, with those recent wins suggesting they are at least stabilizing a bit. The Jazz, by contrast, keep piling up ugly losses, including another blowout that just adds to what has been a nightmare campaign. Here is the problem, though. The Pelicans may be playing better and they are healthier on paper, but they are not exactly a team that inspires confidence when laying points. They have only 6 road wins, they do not consistently stack victories, and their form swings around enough that trusting them as a favorite in another team's building feels shaky. Utah is banged up, clearly in tank mode, and not winning many games straight up, but they are a surprising 31-27 against the spread this season. Yet even when they seem to be throwing games away in the standings, they still scrap enough to cover numbers more often than you would expect. That matters when you are talking about catching points, especially against a favorite that has not proven it can regularly put teams away. The Pelicans might very well survive this spot, but laying a spread with them on the road feels like forcing it. Taking the team that has quietly been profitable against the number, even in a bad season, makes more sense than trusting a shaky road favorite. As our first pick for this matchup, the Utah Jazz to cover the spread as underdogs is our full game side pick. New Orleans is averaging 114.8 points per game on 46.3% shooting while giving up 120.4 points on 47.8% shooting. They are hitting 34.4% of their threes and 78.2% at the free throw line. They allow opponents to shoot 35.1% from deep and pull down 43.7 rebounds per contest. Utah is averaging 118 points on 46.7% shooting and surrendering 125.9 points on 48.9% shooting. The Jazz are knocking down 34.7% from beyond the arc and 79.7% at the stripe. They allow 37.3% shooting from 3 and collect 44.2 rebounds per game. Both teams are scoring plenty, but they are also allowing even more on the defensive end. That kind of profile is usually a recipe for high-scoring games, especially when neither side consistently strings together stops. Perimeter defense looks shaky for both, with opponents getting good looks from outside and hitting a decent clip. Rebounding numbers are fairly close, which suggests there should not be a huge gap in extra possessions. If both sides stay near their scoring averages and the defenses remain as leaky as the stats suggest, the pace of the scoreboard should stay lively throughout. Even if injuries shuffle some names around, the basic pattern of weak defense, decent shooting, and enough trips to the line points toward a game where points stack up rather than stall out. As our second pick for this matchup, over the projected total is our full game total pick. Minnesota Timberwolves versus Los Angeles Clippers. The Minnesota Timberwolves and Los Angeles Clippers face off Thursday at the Intuit Dome, and this one has that sneaky playoff-style feel to it. Both sides know this matchup can say a lot about where they really stand right now. Minnesota comes in off a win over the Trail Blazers and a loss to the 76ers, with the Nuggets on deck. They have still taken 9 wins from their last 13 games, which quietly shows they are trending in the right direction even with a couple of bumps. That kind of stretch usually means the habits are solid, even if not every night looks pretty. The good news for the Timberwolves is that they should finally be back at full strength, with Rudy Gobert and Naz Reid both in action again. Having that front court depth lets them control the paint, protect the rim, and still keep some scoring punch on the floor when they go to the bench. The Clippers, on the other side, have dropped games to the Lakers and Magic and see the Pelicans next. They have still won 21 of their last 30 games, so the big picture is very positive, but the recent stumbles hint at some slippage and some wear. In terms of availability, the Clippers have ruled out Darius Garland and Bradley Beal, while Kawhi Leonard and John Collins are both listed as questionable. That is a major cloud hanging over them because Kawhi is the engine that steadies their offense and sets the tone on both ends when things tighten up. These teams have already split the season series at 1-1. The Clippers took the most recent meeting 115-96 back on February 8th, with Leonard pouring in 41 points. If he ends up sidelined this time, that is a huge chunk of production and shot creation that is very hard to replace, especially against a defense like Minnesota's. Right now, the Timberwolves look like the hotter team, and they are walking into this game fully healthy and confident. They have the length to bother the Clippers on the perimeter, the size to win the boards, and the momentum to chase a bit of revenge for that last lopsided loss. Against a short-handed Clippers squad, this sets up as a spot where Minnesota can lean on its depth and defense and push through for a cover. As our first pick for this matchup, the Minnesota Timberwolves to win and cover the spread as favorites is our full game side pick. The Minnesota Timberwolves are averaging 119.6 points on 48.4% shooting and allowing 115.2 points on 46.3% shooting. They are shooting 37.5% from beyond the arc and 74.6% from the free throw line. They are allowing 36.2% shooting from deep and are grabbing 44.8 rebounds per game. The Los Angeles Clippers are averaging 112.1 points on 47.9% shooting and allowing 112.6 points on 46.7% shooting. They are shooting 36.2% from beyond the arc and 83.3% from the free throw line. They are allowing 36.9% shooting from deep and are grabbing 40.8 rebounds per game. Those numbers say both teams can shoot the ball well, but they also point to defenses that are far from soft. Minnesota's size and length bother drivers and contest shooters, which often forces opponents into tougher looks late in the clock. The Clippers, even when not at full strength, are experienced enough to slow things down, stay organized, and force teams to execute in the half court. If Kawhi Leonard and John Collins are limited or out, that can pull some scoring punch out of the Clippers' side of things. When key creators sit, possessions tend to become more deliberate, with fewer early clock shots and more time spent hunting half-decent matchups. That usually drags the pace down, even if the shooting percentages stay respectable. Minnesota, for all its firepower, is also comfortable in a slower, more physical style where defense sets the tone. Games like that can feel tight, with a lot of contested jumpers and drives that end in contact, and that kind of flow does not usually lead to a track meet on the scoreboard. Rebounding numbers give the Timberwolves a clear edge on the glass, which can limit the Clippers' second chance points and help control the tempo. If one side keeps cleaning up misses and walking the ball up, long runs and wild swings in scoring become less frequent. Add in the potential for key names to sit and you end up with a setup that leans toward a more controlled, lower scoring game than the raw offensive averages might suggest. As our second pick for this matchup, under the projected total is our full game total pick. That's all for now, so if you have any other games you would like reviewed, then leave a comment down below with the game you would like analyzed, subscribe to our channel, leave a like on this video, and we'll get to it as soon as we possibly can. We would also love to hear your opinion on the picks presented to you in this video, whether you agree or disagree with them, so leave a comment down below and do let us know.